Welcome to another YouTube video. As promised, guys, I'm going to document as much as I can instead of creating content. And today, I want to show you guys one system that I've been working on in the last few days that I think is really sick. So as we go into these markets and as we focus more so on building and releasing AI growth infrastructures, AI growth solutions, and playbooks for specific verticals and niches, the biggest bottleneck that a lot of our clients have is being able to close deals. Okay, being able to convey not just the value of the AI solutions, but also understand how sophisticated markets are closed. Okay, if you don't have years of closing and sales experience, if you haven't been rejected 100 times, unfortunately, there wasn't any other path to avoid this bottleneck of not being good at sales. The other option would be to hire a closer, but unfortunately, even closers are incompetent. Okay, so before we used to have this idea of like, hey, we'll just place a closer on your account, but there isn't that many good closers out there. So what did we decide to do is I was like, well, I know how to sell, right? I know where to find the answers and how to allow someone to be able to know how to sell. So what if I could create an entire system, a GPT, a custom AI assistant that allows to go into markets? The first thing that you need to be able to do is understand the level of sophistication of that market, understand what they're numb to, what they're tired of being sold, okay? That's step number one, right? Like that's literally what I wrote here, because you cannot go to, even if you're going after an easy market like local service providers, right? In this example, I'm gonna show you guys a company that we're building, or at least an offer we're building in the pressure washing niche. So you cannot go to pressure washing businesses and say, hey, I'm gonna get you more leads. It's just not gonna work, even if the lead gen is done through AI. Does that make sense? Because they're already numb to that offer. So the first thing you need to understand is how do you pull the right insights about that market, okay? In the previous video, I showed you guys the category OS and positioning, category architect and positioning OS that I built. And you guys can go through it. I'm gonna get my team to leave the link below so you guys can see how we do that. So then my next goal was, okay, since I've already solved that process of acquiring insights in markets that I may not have insights in, I've already solved that with this GPT. Then can I take that and then fill it into this new system? Then we solve the problem of not knowing what the market wants and what the market is numb to. Then step two is, what sales framework are you going to use? You have to understand that just because there are a lot of sales trainers out there, doesn't mean that their way of closing works for your offer. If you're selling AI, you have to understand that you have to use a different approach to selling. It cannot be just about emotions, right? I think a lot of people whose framework uses a lot of emotion is Hormozi, right? He uses the closer framework, right? And also Sam Owen's way of consultative approach of selling. Those wouldn't work too well in the discovery phase of a sales call, right? So I needed to discover a new framework that I can give to clients, right? Or at least someone who's built a framework for selling new models of new paths, new technology in a market that, is just super sophisticated, right? And I found this guy called Andy Raskin. He's helped Salesforce. He's built, I believe, he's been in the Salesforce kind of like sales kind of like playbook. He's built that out, I believe. But he has a pretty good framework around selling technology. So what I did was structure this system, right? So now I'm starting first to test these out on GPT, right? So as you guys can see here, like I built a bunch of prompts based on all these different models of selling, okay? And then what I decided to do is, okay, perfect. Can I now put that as a second layer? So now we have the insights part. Now we have the right framework. Now the way that I did the frameworks is actually combined 3 different sales frameworks. The first one on how to sell technology. Then the second part on objection handling, I dabbled a little bit with Hormozi's framework, and I also took a little bit of Sam Owen's frameworks into the kind of like the discovery phase. Okay, so I combined 3 different sales frameworks into one. Okay, so as the clients start using this sales system, they're gonna have their entire sales script built from those 3 frameworks. Okay. Then the next part is objection handling. I relied heavily on Hormozi's closer framework. So these are the 3 stages. You give the system insights, then you let it leverage 3 different sales frameworks to build your sales script and your objection handling phase, okay? And the last part is, I wanted to figure out, just because someone has the right sales script just because someone has the right objection handling doesn't mean that it can necessarily close, right? You're not yet ready. You need reps, you need a lot of role play. So what did I decide to do? Well, I decided to build it so that you can role play with it. So, and actually I want to show you guys how it's working out. So I kind of like asked it to give me, so this, the way that it works is as it's going through the whole entire playbook, it will actually just be trained on the market that you're going after. And then once it's created the sales script, once it's built the objection handling playbook, then it will actually go into a role play process. And that's what I'm about to go through. So this prospect, or at least this simulated buyer profile, her name is Lisa. She owns 2 trucks. She does residential and commercial pressure washing team in Florida, okay? She's main strategy is Google reviews, some Yelp leads, no form of rebooking or quoting system. Frustration is, high season is chaotic, off season, blah, 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 right? But we're actually gonna go through this entire process on a role play, right? So let's get started. Now, please don't mind, I'm not a salesperson. I may not be perfect, but check this out, let's go. Can we get started?
Absolutely, we're live. Hey, thanks for making time. I just want to be upfront. We're doing okay with jobs right now, especially this season. So I'm not looking for more leads, but I am interested if there's a way to make things run smoother. What exactly is it that you do? Your turn. Hit me with your opening frame.
Awesome. So one of the things that we hear when we're talking to a lot of pressure washing businesses is the fact that they're still relying on, a bunch of lead vendors, doing manual follow-ups and, just stuck in the operations and having their backend be the reason why they can't scale, right? Now, before I kind of like go over our process, I don't want to necessarily assume anything. Can you currently walk me through what is your biggest bottleneck? How are you currently going about getting jobs? And I know you said that getting leads and appointments and clients isn't your biggest bottleneck. Then what is your biggest bottleneck right now?
Yeah, totally. Leads aren't our problem. We've got good Google reviews, and Yelp keeps us busy too. Honestly, the biggest headache is everything after someone says yes. I'm still doing most of the quoting myself, usually late at night. We miss follow-ups all the time, and I know we're leaving money on the table with recleans, but we just don't have the time to keep up with it. So yeah, smoother back end, less chaos, more repeat work. That's what I want. You've got the real pain. Want to move into gap amplification or pivot straight into the pitch?
Awesome. How long have you been dealing with this issue of your backend and operations not necessarily being scalable? Things like having to always manually quote every lead and potential customer coming through.
Honestly, since year 2. We've been in business for 6 years now. First year was scrappy. Year 2, we started growing. And ever since then, it's been this recurring thing. We get busy, then we drown in admin. Every off season, I say, let's build better systems. And then the season hits again, and we're back to reactive mode. It's frustrating because I know we could be more efficient. I just haven't found the right fix. She's opened the door wide. Want to amplify the gap and move into your route control pitch?
Interesting. And if you were able to solve that problem and essentially automate the entire flow, maybe even leverage AI to solve that entire kind of like bottleneck, like where would your business end up revenue wise?
If we actually had something like that, I think we could easily add another 10, maybe 15 grand a month just by not missing out on follow-ups, upsells, and neighbor jobs we're ignoring now. And I could finally step out of quoting every single job myself. That alone would free me up to actually run the business instead of chasing it. So
And
yeah, I see the upside. I just haven't seen anything that felt real or doable. She's mentally halfway there. Want to drop into your full solution walkthrough?
interesting. So so you've been in business, you've had this issue since you were in business in year 2, and it's been 4 years since that. So that means that you've probably lost almost over $500,000 in just potential income that could have been earned without you needing to spend any extra dime on acquisition, correct?
Wow. Yeah, when you say it like that, it hits hard. I mean, I've never done the math, but yeah, it's probably close to that. All those jobs we missed, the people who never booked again, the neighbors we never followed up with. Yeah, that stings. So, what exactly are you offering? How would this fix all that? Perfect cue. Roll out your route control system pitch now. Start with the first layer.
Perfect. So here is what we do. We help pressure washing businesses stop chasing leads and start owning routes. FYI, I'm reading. We do it by installing something we call the route control system, an AI-powered infrastructure that targets the best neighborhoods, auto quotes and books jobs 24/7, and rebooks every client at the right time and turns each job into 5 more in the same block. You don't need to learn AI, run ads, and manage a CRM. Can I walk you through exactly how we go about doing this?
Yeah, that actually sounds really aligned with what we need. I like that it's focused on operations, not more marketing. Go ahead, walk me through it.
All
How
right,
does it actually work?
perfect. So first step
She's
is
ready. Go ahead and take her through the 4 layers of the route control system.
perfect. So first step is we help you target the best neighborhoods, HOAs, high income blocks, and spots where route density actually matters. Instead of random leads across town, we build hyper local demand where you want it. Sounds good so far?
Totally. That's one of our biggest time wasters, bouncing between jobs on opposite sides of town. If we could concentrate routes, that'd save us a ton on gas and labor. What's next? Roll into auto quote and book. That's where the magic hits.
Second is we install an AI-powered quoting and booking system. Someone sees, let's say, your flyer, your postcard, or your ad. They scan a QR code, and the system auto-calculates the quote based on their home data, shows the price instantly, and lets them book in your calendar. Actually, the AI books your lead into the calendar automatically without you lifting a finger. And the way we're able to do this is through leveraging Zillow, the data from Zillow. We're actually to pull data. So if someone comes into your funnel, they'll be able to input their address. And as soon as we get their address, we go on Zillow, find the data around their home, their driveway, and all the square foot that we need to know. And then you have your formula around how you price things, okay? And then based on that pricing and the data around the home, it auto calculates the actual, provides the quote automatically. And then if the prospect is interested after getting the quote, that's the moment where the actual second layer of the AI solution or the AI system, the AI agent, will actually book them into the calendar. So you're not chasing leads, you're waking up to jobs already booked without you having to do anything.
Okay, that's impressive. I've never heard it broken down like that. We spend so much time quoting jobs that don't even convert. If this does that for us, especially with real-time pricing from Zillow data, that's a massive time saver. And I like that it's still based on our pricing model. So what happens after the job? She's totally bought into the quoting layer. Go ahead and roll into Smart Rebook.
So every time you finish a job, the systems trigger something we call the smart rebook flow. Based on the job type, property, and time of year, it sends perfectly timed messages that get the client back on your calendar before they even think to look elsewhere. It's like having a full-time retention team running in the background. And finally, we turn that one job into 5 more with what we call the neighbor chain expansion. Right after the job, we hit surrounding homes with a testimonial, a picture, and a personalized quote link saying, hey, we just cleaned Sergio's place. He's been working full-time, not sleeping, doesn't even clean his Porsche, but we've been able to come in and clean out his entire property, and here's what it cost him, and here's what yours would be. Boom, new leads, same block, 0 extra effort. So instead of chasing gigs, you're building a system that compounds more rebooks, more neighbors, more route control. It's not about adding more tools, it's about installing a machine that makes the work flow to you.
Okay, wow. That is exactly what we've needed, but didn't know how to pull off. I love that it's not just about getting new clients, it's about compounding the ones we already worked hard to get. And making that kind of follow-up happen without me touching it, that's huge. So what does this cost and how do we get started? She's fully in. Time to drop your price framing and close it down.
So here's how it works on our end. The way we work is we have a 90-day program. We have a 4-week setup, and the setup fee costs around $8,500. It's a one-time fee. And then after that, you pay us $500 a month for ongoing optimization and support. That includes the full setup, local targeting, onboarding, and also tuning and dialing in the system that we implement into your business.
Okay, that's definitely an investment. But if it actually frees me up and keeps jobs coming in without me chasing people, I can see how that pays for itself fast. But let me ask, how do I know this will really work for my area? Like, we've got some older neighborhoods and some tech-resistant folks here. She's giving you a soft objection. Want to drop your risk reversal or offer incentive logic?
Well, before I go over kind of like the guarantee that we provide, just to put into perspective, most of our clients recover the setup costs in 4 to 6 weeks. So before we even talk about what happens if it doesn't work, I want to just let you know that based on the data that we have, most of our clients recoup back they get an ROI by the next payday, right?
All right, that helps. If it's really performing that fast for others, I can definitely justify it. But I'm still feeling a little on the edge, just because I've been burned before with stuff that sounded good on paper, but didn't deliver. You mentioned a guarantee. She's almost there, ready to drop your 90-day ROI guarantee and incentive-based close.
So we have a 90-day guarantee where after 90 days after we implement the system and after 8 weeks of optimizing this entire system, if you're not able to get an ROI, if you're not ROI positive after 90 days, we'd be happy to refund you. And the reason why we're capable of offering such a guarantee is because we believe in our system, and based on the data that we have from all of our clients, it should only take us 4 to 6 weeks for us to provide you a guarantee. And on top of that, I want to do something even special. I understand that you're making a big investment. You've already been scammed. Pressure washing niche is one of the industries that have been burned by marketing agencies so much, especially lead gen agency, and we hate them so much, okay? So what I'm able to do is, if you're willing to decide and make the investment today in less than 24 hours, I'm happy to give you a 30% discount, and we get started at $6,000, $500 if you pay in full, everything up front. And on top of that, as a bonus, if you sign up today, we're gonna throw in the seasonal booster pack, a pre-built campaign for spring, summer, and holiday push periods, which based on some of the campaigns that we've run before, that alone adds about 15% more rebooks over time. How does that sound?
All right, that's actually really fair. Between the guarantee and the bonus campaigns, it feels like you're really backing what you're selling, not just throwing tech at me. Yeah, let's do it. Send over the invoice and whatever onboarding stuff you need. I'm ready. You closed it. Confident, high authority, belief-led close with a rock-solid stack. Urgency, proof, risk reversal, and empathy for past buyer scars. Want me to break this one down into a win-loss analysis? Save it to your training vault? Or prep a re-engagement version for other leads who ghosted?
No, thank you, bye. All right, guys, sorry for the light, something went off, but as you guys saw, I know nothing about the pressure washing industry. Like when I say nothing, I mean zero, okay? I leverage my way of doing research about different markets that we're going into with the category OS and positioning, kind of category architect and positioning OS system that we built. Then I took that data. Well, first of all, I learned what this market is dealing with. Then I took that market, then I put it into the sales OS. Then it went into structuring the sales script, right? So as I was going through this, I was actually catching up and actually looking at the script that this built, right? And then the next step is objection handle, right? And have the actual system build, because I didn't know that pressure washing businesses care about owning routes and the fact that it's inefficient for them to get a job here in this neighborhood and have to go 50 miles to another job, right? So what we're able to see is that these business owners care about density. They care about owning a route, right? So the system that we're going to be selling to these businesses, it's not about lead gen. It's about, can we control and own an entire block, right? Now, if I was someone who doesn't have a lot of experience around sales or who doesn't have a lot of insights about this market, I could have jumped on a sales call and said, oh, we're gonna sell you an appointment setting bot, or hey, we're gonna sell you more leads. But these people don't care anything about leads. And if you get on a sales call And this, like you heard, the AI agent literally said, oh, I don't want more jobs. Well, if you're a growth firm that sells just more clients, you're not going to be able to know how to handle this call. But because the system that we built, even though it gets them more client, it doesn't get them more client from front end. It gets them more client from getting more out of what they already have. And this business would be a typical, of course, this AI was a little easier and it was easy close, but of course it would be harder. But when you go to markets and you actually show them that it can make more from what they already are doing and spending on ads, then it's easier to sell. So now we're doing this in all the verticals. The idea is I want my clients to be able to role play and understand every market without wasting acquisition spend, marketing spend, right? We're launching so many campaigns for clients every single month. We're spending a lot of money on advertising. We're booking a lot of appointments in experts, health, wellness, in local service businesses, online services, software, e-com, so many different verticals. And I want people to eventually not have to wait for a booked call for them to become amazing at sales, right? As you guys saw, it goes into the whole playbook. Then it can also give you feedback on what you did wrong. Or if you already have sales call, you can just take the transcript and put it in there and it will actually role play based on the things that you're not good at, okay? So this is the type of stuff that I'm working on. Thank God AI exists, because do you know how hard it would have been to be able to just this simple role play about pressure washing? I personally would have never been able to do a role play with a client because one, I don't know anything about pressure washing, right? And even if I knew even if I was great at sales, how am I going to do role play with 30, 40, 50 new clients a month? It's impossible, right? But AI, this technology makes it so that I can take the perfect sales playbook, at least to the things that we're selling, and hand it to someone and have them not wait in front of a course looking at hours and hours of content. And it's just like this. As I told you guys, the world of info products is shifting. The way that you provide value to your customers, the way we're going to be delivering insights and knowledge is not going to be through information, through content. It is actually going to be through these systems, these agents that have your frameworks and your way of thinking, and someone essentially just borrows your way of thinking. And I cannot wait for you guys to try out all these systems that we're building. After we've validated it, then we're actually going to be plugging and playing it with the data that we have, all the data that we have from acquisition, calls, and everything like that. We're going to be dumping it in together. And then now this assistant, these frameworks are going to now be connected with the data, so then it can actually pull in real time from things from closed deals, so that it's not just woo-woo stuff based on sales process and sales training, okay? And this is why it's cool, what we're working on, okay? Love y'all. Sorry for this light. Okay, bye-bye. Take care.